Good morning students, this is Fadalsa Sonapre and today we are going to study about the first chapter of your SS textbook, that is two big states. We are going to study about the first part of the chapter, that is the Kingdom of Kannauj. So let's begin. The chapter starts with the explanation about King Harshvardhan, who ascended the throne after the death of his elder brother Rajyavardhan. So King Harshvardhan was born in 606 CE after the death of his father Prabhakarvardhan. After his father died, Rajyavardhan, his elder brother, ascended the throne. Unfortunately, he was killed by the king of Gaur, Shashank. And their sister Rajyashree was imprisoned by the king of Malwa, Devagupta. So under such circumstances, there was no one to rule the empire, and hence his minister suggested Harshvardhan to take up the throne. So after he became the emperor, the first thing he did was that he attacked the king of Malwa, Devagupta, to release his sister. But his sister had already left from the clutches of Devagupta, and she had ran away to the forests of Vindhya. There Harshvardhan, with the help of some Buddhist monks and the other people of the forest, was able to trace Rajyashree, who was about to commit sati. Now there was no ruler of Kannauj that was under the rule of his sister Rajyashree, and hence Harshvardhan became the ruler of Kannauj as well. As his power increased, the first thing he did was to avenge for the death of his elder brother Rajyavardhan. And so, with the help of king of Kanpur, Assam, he attacked the empire of Gaur and defeated Shashank. And this way he expanded his territories. Moving forward, let's know about the reign and administration of King Harshvardhan. Now see, I would like to tell you one thing over here. There are two types of kings. One are just kings, they are the kings by birth, and second are the people's kings. So the stories and the chronicles that we read today are of the kings who are the people's king, because they were loved and they were respected by their people, and they were famous for their generosity and their down-to-earth nature. So Harshvardhan undoubtedly was such a king. Let's study about his reign and administration. So he personally supervised administration. Harshvardhan actively participated in all the matters of his state, and he every rule and every regulation and every form of important documents would go through him, and he used to keep active eye on each and every minister of his court. He traveled extensively. This is very rare among the kings. Harshvardhan himself used to travel and check whether his people are happy. See, I will share the image of Harshvardhan's empire, and you will come to see how big and huge his empire was spread. So it was quite hard for a king to move around all the territories of his empire, but Harshvardhan successfully did it, and used to travel to different places just to see whether his people are properly fed, whether his people live a good life, whether they are facing some problems, and if they faced any kind of problem, he was always there to help them. The third point is his daily routine. His daily routine was divided into three different parts. The first was for the administrative purposes. As I told you, he actively participated in all the sorts of administrative work. So administration was something very close to his heart, and he dedicated a lot of part of his daily, day into the administrative purposes. Second was public welfare. He used to check whether his people are happy, whether they are not being deceived or exploited by the higher authorities, and that was, he used to listen to the complaints of the people. So yes, he dedicated his time daily into public welfare as well. And the last one, religious activities. Now this also is rare amongst the kings. Harshvardhan used to have a routine for his religious activities. He was religious, and so he used to dedicate a lot of time for his religious activities as well. Now there are certain things about the imprints left by Harshvardhan. So he built many rest houses, wells, stepwells, and I'm sorry, I'm new to this, so please bear with me. I will surely learn gradually on how to make a proper video. He used to build many things for the welfare of the people. So he built many rest houses. Today, if I am traveling from one place to another, and if I am tired of the travel, I will book an hotel and I'll spend my night over there, and I have to pay a good amount for the same. Earlier, there were rest houses. When you are traveling by the cart or by foot, you get tired, and so if there is a rest house in the middle of the highway, it's a blessing. So there were certain rest houses built by King Harshvardhan, wells and stepwells for the thirsty people, and also the vihars. Vihars are specifically for the Jain monks and Buddhist monks who used to live over there while they were traveling. He prohibited animal slaughter. See, he followed Buddhism and accept people killing animal just for fun. He did not like hunting, or he even prohibited the poaching of the animals. So he was his kingdom was animal friendly. Then at the religious congregation. Okay, now this is something which even I am very surprised to know, and at the same time I think that what kind of ruler Harshvardhan would be. At religious congregation that happened every 5 years, he would donate till his entire treasure emptied. He would generously donate away his treasure to the needy and to his people and to whoever who came his way. And he even used to remove the ornaments he would be wearing and just give them away to the people in need. Imagine, just imagine how generous a king can be. So probably Harshvardhan is an optimal example of generosity. Also, his talent does not end over there. He was a very good writer, and he himself wrote 3 plays, Naganan, Ratnavali and Priya Darshika. So these are the 3 plays written by Harshvardhan himself. In yesterday's video, I even mentioned about Banabhatta, who was a courtier and a great writer who adorned the kingdom of Harshvardhan, and Banabhatta wrote the biography of Harshvardhan in his book Harsha Charita. So in Harsha Charita you can get to know a lot about. Now let's study about Nalanda University. Kids, as you know, Nalanda University was one of the very renowned university of the olden times, and Chanakya, also well known as Kautilya, was one of the professors teaching at Nalanda University. Under the guidance and assistance of King Harshvardhan, Nalanda University flourished a lot, and King Harshvardhan helped Acharya Shilbhadra, the head of Nalanda University, a lot in all the terms and in expanding the university, in expanding the faculties and the subjects in the university. Also, Harshvardhan gave away 100 villages, nearby villages of the Nalanda University for the maintenance and upkeep of the university. Now, let's talk about the life of the people. As per the traveler Xuanzang, who lived and studied Buddhism in the Nalanda University for the 5 years. He was a Chinese traveler, and he has wrote extensively about his stay in India and in Harshvardhan's room. We come to know a lot about the life of the people through his write-ups, and as per him, the people in Harshvardhan's empire lived a simple life. They wore simple cotton clothes, they wore simple ornaments, they did not deceive or exploit each other. It was considered to be sinful. There were 4 different varnas in Harshvardhan's empire, that is Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishyas and Shudras. Vaishyas were the merchants, and they used to travel to different lands to do the business, and Harshvardhan's empire had a very good connection with the Empire of Rome, and it was very common for the Romans to come and trade over here. And there was one thing which is a little, I would say, unsettling in the empire of Harshvardhan, that is the sati system and the polygamy, and also the intercaste marriages were not very appreciated. So this is something which I find, which makes me question that why, I mean, such a flourished empire, such a huge and respected empire, such a great king, and in spite of all this, why such evil practices like the practice of sati, and why were the intercaste marriages not allowed, and why the system of polygamy was there, and also there was a very staunch caste system, which again is a little unsettling for me, because as a teacher I never appreciate, as a human being I don't appreciate the caste system. Actually, the way Aryans had designed the caste system is very different from what we are following, which we'll talk about in the later chapters. So this is something which is a little questionable in Harshvardhan's otherwise great empire. Now moving further, Xuanzang, he is, though Chinese, he is considered to be one of a very important person when we talk about King Harshvardhan, because there was a very strong friendship developed between Xuanzang and King Harshvardhan, and Xuanzang has written extensively about how great Harshvardhan was and how mighty his kingdom was, and how people lived a simple yet very dignified life, and how they followed the morals and values in their day-to-day life. So that is all about King Harshvardhan and Empire of Kannauj in this chapter. If you have any doubt, any query, you can always ask me through the message. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much.